merciful hello and a very warm welcome. Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has hit out at military intervention in Bahrain by Persian Gulf states to help crush pro-democracy protests. Ahmadinejad said the move is foul and doomed to failure, and regional nations will hold the U.S. accountable for it. The president also said the U.S. seeks to save the Zionist regime of Israel and to smother the popular movements. The Iranian president also slammed the current mobilization against the population in Bahrain as a heinous, unjustifiable and incomprehensible act. He then said the Bahraini regime is using weapons against its own people to govern them. Bahrain's opposition says the regime killed at least 9 protesters and wounded hundreds more in a violent raid on a peaceful pro-democracy camp. Hundreds of riot police, backed by tanks and helicopters, fired shotguns and tear gas canisters at demonstrators who had camped out at Pearl Square for a month, calling for a constitutional monarchy and an end to repression. The developments come as Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates have deployed their armed forces in Bahrain to help the regime crush protests. The brutality against demonstrators has been condemned by many countries and international organizations. On a related note, Iran's foreign ministry has recalled its ambassador to Manama for consultations on the latest developments. As Europe and the U.S. remain undecided on a no-fly zone over Libya, Muammar Gaddafi's regime says it will completely crush revolutionaries within the next 48 hours. This comes as Gaddafi loyalists intensified offensives in the east and the west on Wednesday, with relentless shelling aimed at retaking control of regions they have lost to revolutionaries. As Gaddafi's forces gained momentum, the opposition lashed out at the West for failing to come to their aid. Eastern Libya has been under the control of revolutionary forces over the past month, but the breakdown of their defenses in Ajdabiya, about 770 kilometers southeast of capital Tripoli, could open the gateway for the eastern Libya. The city's fall will allow regime forces to bombard Benghazi, which is Libya's second largest city and the de facto capital of the opposition. In Japan, rescue and relief operations are still underway following the catastrophic earthquake and tsunami, with 80,000 rescue workers mobilized in the devastated areas. The National Police Agency has confirmed more than 4,250 deaths in 12 prefectures, adding nearly 8,200 people remain unaccounted for in 6 prefectures. The death toll, however, will inevitably climb higher as the recovery of bodies, mainly in the tsunami-hit coastal areas, started in full swing after waters there held back and tsunami warnings were lifted. In the face of the nuclear troubles, meanwhile, many foreign nationals staying in Japan rushed to Narita International Airport to return home. In a bid to cope with fuel shortages, local officials have asked the government to give priority to emergency vehicles, including those for police and firefighters, and for transporting relief materials to quake-stricken areas. Fuel consumption has decreased throughout Iran since the implementation of the subsidy reform plan. That, according to National Iranian Oil Products Distribution Company, which also announced that the country has saved $1.8 billion in fuel consumption since December 19, 2010, when the Iranian government lifted energy subsidies. The company went on to say that the daily gasoline consumption of the country reduced to 54 million litres from the previous figure of 61 million litres, indicating a reduction of about 7 million litres compared to the corresponding period last year. The subsidy reform plan allows the Iranian government to gradually slash subsidies on fuel, natural gas, electricity and certain goods over the course of the year, over the course of 5 years, with low-income families being compensated with direct cash handouts. Iran's army commander has dismissed as baseless claims by the Zionist regime of Israel that arms it seized aboard a ship were being sent by Tehran to the Gaza Strip. Major General Ayatollah Salehi said Iran rejects all such reports by the Zionist regime, which is fabricating and spreading lies relentlessly. Salehi added the allegations come at a time when Israel is suffering because of the popular uprising in the Middle East and North Africa. The general further said, following the overthrow of Egypt's President Hosni Mubarak, we will also witness the collapse of the Zionist regime of Israel too. The Israeli regime's warplanes fired 2 missiles at a building in the Gaza Strip on Wednesday, killing at least 3 Palestinians and wounding 4 others. Medics said ambulances raced to the scene near Gaza City as plumes of smoke billowed overhead. They added a couple of the injured are in serious condition. Palestinian officials said 2 of those killed were security personnel of the building. The Zionist regime's military also confirmed the attack on the impoverished coastal strip.